Hello and welcome to Following God's Plan. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm Pastor Lindy and I'm so happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're joining me today, and I hope that God is going to reveal to you what it is that you need to hear this week. Okay? I know that, He revealed a lot to me in preparation for today's podcast. Okay? And I think that's where what I'm going to talk about today comes from. So, this week, I had been encountering something, and before I even came to encountering it, okay, God basically had promised me that this thing would be yours, right? And I was like, yes, that's great, that's amazing. God's already promised it to me, and now I can see myself it's happening. And in the middle of all of that, I think I forgot, the most important thing, right? I didn't forget it. I think I did it in part, and that is trusting God. Okay, I think I trusted God in a small fraction, but the prerequisite of your relationship with God is that you need to trust Him fully. You need to trust Him fully because all things that He's doing are working in your favor, especially if He is doing them, right? Because there are things that some of them it's you. You want that opportunity so bad. You want that relationship so bad that you step away from what God is having you focus on, and now you put all of your energy into this, right? And now once you put all of your energy and your time into this, you begin feeling as though it's not working in your favor. And you begin feeling as though, how did I make the wrong decision? God, why aren't you with me? God, this is what you promised me. And the thing about God's promises is that they also come with God's timing. Just because God promised you, it doesn't mean He's going to fulfill it in your timing. And even when you seek something that is similar to what God promised you, it doesn't mean that 100% this is it. There are a few things that it needs to fulfill now that it's presenting itself to you. It needs to look a certain way. It needs to look exactly, first of all, the way that God said it. Secondly, it will happen the way that God said it would happen. But the most foolproof and surefire way is that you need to confirm it with God. I'm going to say it again. You need to confirm it with God. That means going into your prayer place and saying, God, here's an opportunity. This opportunity looks like what you had promised me, right? And now that it looks like what you had promised me, I'm going to need you to please confirm it. And here's why this is important. So, say that God has already promised you that you'll be married one day, and you come across somebody, and this person checks all of the boxes, okay? And maybe let's say you're a little bit like me, and your walls have been high up, and this person has actually worked through it. They're presenting as a healthy human being. They're presenting like a perfect image of what God had promised you. You need to confirm it with God, because what if that's not the person? See, our friend, the eavesdropper, the enemy, he can send counterfeits of anything, counterfeits of all the promises that God had given you. Why? Because he's an eavesdropper. He heard you praying upon it. He heard you asking God when He would do it. He heard you reminding God over and over and over again. This is why it's important to trust God. When you trust God, you give it to Him, and then you stop worrying about it. When you stop worrying about it is where God works. Because when you're not worried, you're focusing your energy on what God is doing, what God has instructed you, right? What is God doing on the earth through you? That's what you focus all of your energy on. Those prayers come in your quiet time, but you cannot dedicate 10 of your prayers throughout the day to that one thing. Because that means, in part, you're using your humanness to trust God. You're using the part of you that's been disappointed by a few people. You're using the part of you that was hurt as a child. You're using the part of you that has tried time and time again to succeed, but something keeps on stopping you. You need to use the part of you that knows that you're a child of God. You need to use the part of you that knows your portion here on the earth, that knows that your portion is predetermined by God here on the earth, that no one can stop what God's going to do for you. It doesn't matter what they think that they can do. It doesn't matter what they think that they've tried. It doesn't matter what they've said about you. There's no one who can stop what God's going to do for you. That's how your trust needs to enact here on the earth. You need to trust God so much that you are focused on what He's doing through you here on the earth. I'm speaking about this because it happened to me. And it happened to me the moment that I thought about Psalms 23, okay? So Psalms 23 goes, in the beginning, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want, okay? And I think personally, I've misunderstood that bit for a very long time. I've misunderstood it in such a way that I've known that, okay, yes, the Lord is my shepherd. He provides for me. He takes care of me. He's there for me. He's always protecting me. He's covering me. He leads me. He guides me. Everything that Psalms 23 says from the beginning to the end, right? But what I have forgotten about Psalms 23 is that you do not want, because He's already done all those things. And you can trust that He has done them. You can trust that He has done them. You can trust that He's already provided for you. You can trust that that promise is already fulfilled. You can trust that the more you keep doing what God has you doing here on the earth and focus your energy on it and give it everything inside of you, God, again, He uses it all, right? And so how much more is He going to use what He has already given you to do? And that's the thing. When we trust God, when we trust God, we know that we can ask Him to confirm something. Because when He says no, it is still trust to know that it's coming. Sometimes those no's feel like, okay, but if He said no, then it's not going to happen. But if He said no right now, then it means He's going to do it later. When I'm too old, when I'm too this, when I'm too tired, when I'm not ready. God prepares you. You don't need to be ready outside of the strength of God. All you need is focus. Focus. I touched on this before. Freedom is not the ability to say that I can do whatever I want. Freedom is the ability to differentiate what it is that you can and should do and what it is that you should not do. And that's how God's freedom is set up. There are parameters that the Lord sets up for us in the Bible. Things that we are to adhere to, that we're walking the Spirit walk. Things that we're supposed to do and things that we're not supposed to do. God sets those parameters in place because that version of you is the version that God can trust. So meanwhile, you're over here working diligently, trusting God, not needing to remind Him over and over again, because you trust that everything that He's doing in your life is working in your favor, that all the things that you're meant to receive are going to come in its due course. We all know this. What's for you can never miss you. How can you say that a God who's always on time has missed you? That a God who's always on time won't show up for you? There's no such thing as God not showing up for you. Where did He take you from? Where are you right now with God? If you know where He's taken you from and where He has you right now, you know that you can trust Him. You know that He's working and moving. There will come times where the supernatural timing of God, it will be so on time that even you will be shocked at the time that it happens. But there are times when you just need to get your head down. Get your head down, do the work, focus, talk to Him, spend time with Him. Those are important elements of trusting God. So, I think all of us, me included, we need to trust God collectively. I think I have been able to trust God with so many things, right? And I think the magnitude of this thing is what made me feel like, okay, God, but I'm just within grasp, just within arm's reach, just here. Please don't forget me. And God is so loving. That's why He gives us grace. He doesn't condemn us or anything like that. But you don't need to remind Him. And I hope that that's what you hold on to today. I hope that's what you receive today. That you don't need to remind God to do the thing for you. You don't need to remind God even when you're already in process of making it happen. That you know that the next few meetings, the next few phone calls, the next few steps, you're almost there. You don't need to remind Him. I think I would like for you to pray for yourself in those moments and say, God, remind me to keep on trusting you. God, remind me that you have got me. God, strengthen me. strengthen you. Because the enemy, he too is playing his own game. So meanwhile, you're feeling as though, oh yes, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Increased self-doubt. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Increased imposter syndrome. It's you. It's you and your peace. That's your portion. Don't forget it. You don't need to remind God. You just need to claim it. And when you claim it, you feed it with your faith. I love you. Be blessed.